Welcome to the Positivity Show. I'm Tanya Lacey. It's my absolute pleasure and privilege to be bringing you today's guest all the way from the USA, from New Jersey. And this woman I met all learning together, I would say. All these learning experiences that we go on when we want to improve ourselves and continuously grow. It was on one of these experiences that I met this amazing woman. I think it might have been Arizona, or it could have been San Diego. We're trying to remember exactly where we connected. However, in the global roaming and the questing for amazing connection, opportunity, you meet amazing people. And this woman is one amazing person. And you're going to learn a lot. I can't wait to introduce you to her community. She is a live video coach. She helps you become animated and bring the best version of yourself to camera. She's a stand-up comedian, and she's also a motivational speaker. I'd love to introduce to you the one, the only, Elaine Williams. Welcome, Elaine, to Positivity Show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for that lovely introduction. Yeah, I'm so excited that we're still connecting. It's awesome.
So let's start with, if I can jump in, I'd love to talk about energy on stage. So, people probably underestimate what it takes to either do a keynote, to do presentation on stage, and particularly being a comic. So this is something that I'm super curious about, and I've always been very curious about you, and I would love for you to share really what it takes to be able to stand up and do stand-up comedy. I think it would be one of the top fears of most people if you sort of threw them on stage and to be vulnerable to a group of people.
That's so great, Tanya. You know, I always say it is the scariest thing you can do with your clothes on. Okay. Like, whoa! And I think a lot of it is skill. Yes, talent is important, but people can say, "Oh, I've always wanted to try it," and I say, "Go to an open mic, do it." It's, to me, that's like the jumping out of an airplane or bungee cord jump. You know, it's like, whoa. But what's interesting is, like, everybody thinks Chris Rock makes it look easy, but he has worked on those jokes. He has written them and rewritten them. He's tried them out. He's gone on stage. He's tweaked them. A lot of times what seems like it's off the cuff has been sweat, blood, and tears. And then, yes, once you've been doing comedy for a while, you can riff and rant, but a lot of it has been really honed and pared down, and you're always editing. So there's so much more that goes into it than people realize.
Wow. So, Elaine, what about feedback? Like, if you're going to do that refinement, what's the feedback that you're looking for? Are you looking for the feedback from the audience of what worked and what didn't work? Or are you looking for a playback for yourself? Like, what is it that gives you the knowing that, hey, that could be better?
That is such a great question. You know, and that is like the ultimate, because when I first started doing comedy, people kept saying, "Elaine, you're really funny. You should try comedy." I was new in New York, and I was angry, and it was hard. I knew like one person when I moved to New York, and everything's $1 million, and so people were like, "You're really funny. You're kind of angry," and I was like, "What do you mean?" You know, but I didn't know how to write, and so I was horrible at first. Okay. And what I thought was funny was like crickets. And then when I wasn't trying to be funny, and here's the big key, I was writing from an emotional place. My teacher would say, just talk about your family. So I would talk about my crazy dysfunctional family, not trying to be funny.
I'm just starting to laugh now already because
the laughter recognition, right? But coming from that place of truth and emotional pain and not trying to be funny, and then I was funny. So I remember my first, I was in this class, I was horrible. Everybody else had done comedy. I would go home and eat ice cream. I would cry. Just finish the class, just finish the class. And so the night of the show, I practiced. I said, don't expect any laughs. Just pretend like it's a monologue. And I'm up there, and all these people are bent over when I get to the family stuff. And I had that light bulb. I'm supposed to help people who might not go to therapy, who might not do personal development, but they can laugh and relate and identify and know that they're not alone.
Oh, wow.
And my life made sense, Tanya. Assault, re-addiction, like, now, and it was still a long path to learn how to be funny on command, and then to trust myself and learn how to prep and learn how to write. I mean, there's a whole mastery to it, but learning to write from an emotionally painful place, when you're in that zone, the jokes kind of write themselves when you're like, let me tell you about my latest date, or, like, how long do you have? So I love stand up, and it's really hard. It is hard.
To me, you just strike me as really courageous. Like, even when we just connected, it's like you're prepared to throw yourself at life, or I can just tell that you've been through a lot in your life, and that's been the preparedness, but that's also the courage, and to stand up and teach, share from like, you're not hiding behind anything. There's no music. I mean, you're sharing from it's a craft, but I'm imagining that you're really drawing from pain or deep emotion. Yeah. Is that right?
That's true. And, a lot of comedians suffer from depression, and most people have had some kind of great pain, and they unconsciously or consciously use humor to deflect, to survive. And that's one reason I do love, comedy lightened me up, because I was like, I'm newly sober, I have to make up for lost time. And, New York is already intense. And when you're that intense, like, whoa, Elaine, take a breath. And so I'm so grateful to comedy, because it helps me like lighten up and like, okay, lighten up, Ethel, stop taking yourself so darn seriously. And what I love too is, like, you can think, okay, today, this is like, you have those days you spill your coffee, whatever. You're like, this is really going to be funny in like a month, or, like if you have those crazy things where everything bad happens, I love comedy. I will always be studying it. Jim Jeffries is Australian, and to me, he's one of the most brilliant comics.
Okay. So tell me about him. What is it that you enjoy about his comedy?
He's smart, and he's dark and twisted, but what I love about him is his vulnerability. He talks about this on stage. He says, I have a great life. I have a great woman. I have a great kid. I get to tour, and I suffer from depression. And I love it that he is that, and that he, as a guy, can share that. And he did this bit about gun control several years ago, and he gets hate mail from Americans. And he doesn't apologize. Like, to me, he's an example of fearless, brilliant, heart out. And somebody who I really, really respect wrote about him. He sent a group email, and he was like, I haven't seen a comedian like this in years and years, this guy. And this guy, Frank Santopadre, he has his own podcast, and, with this guy, so that's how I got to know Jim Jeffries. So anyway, he's one of my heroes. I mean, he is a little bit, he says certain things about women, but I think it's all part of his act, but I do think he's just smart. And I just like that dark, twisted, smart kind of comedy.
Yes, understood. And can we touch on the vulnerability piece, because this speaks to my work as well. And we were chatting before we started the interview about positivity. People can think, this theme of positivity is euphoric, but actually it takes work to be positive. There's a lot of clearing that has to happen to be able to surface every day and show up every day with this pure, clear message. And it's what it has been cleared in the work that's been done. And for you to stand up there and be able to be vulnerable and able to be raw, there's a lot of work involved with this. This is the preparation part. There's the emotional work, the heavy lifting, and then the practice. So is it almost like layers of layers you have to go through on your journey to be clear with your act? Or I just want to link up this vulnerability and preparation thing.
I love this. And I've never had this kind of connection like this. So I'm like, whoa, like, can we do a series on this? because I know for me, I had been, I was bulimic, drug, alcohol, and sexual assault and domestic violence. Really, it was all part of my thing. And then in 1997, I did the Landmark Forum, had a spiritual awakening, was able to forgive my father and my stepmother for their abuse. And I was shaking and shivering, and I thought, oh, I don't know what's happening, but I have to do more of this. And that was really, for me, a line of demarcation. It felt like I did 10 years of therapy in 3 days. And then out of that work, I was able to stop using drugs. And then I got sober in 2000. But for me, it has been so much clearing. There was a lot of darkness and a lot of anger and a lot of shame. And it's a process. And I have to say, like, I have a daily practice. I get up at 4:45 in the morning.
Wow, that's amazing.
Every once in a while, my body's like, we're sleeping in. But I like to get up early. I go to my spin class or yoga, usually spin. And I do 40 minutes of cardio. And then I go to my morning meditation meeting it's a 12-step program. It's AA.
Yes.
And I would say I probably do that 5 to 6 times a week. And for me, that is like a daily, and because sometimes I wake up and I'm like, okay, but a lot of times I wake up groggy, grumpy, fat, frizzy, cranky, full of concerns and my humanity, right?
Yeah.
And I've got squirrels in the hole and contractors in New Jersey and, and then, I just feel like when I can have that foundation, I'm a better human being. I'm a better coach. I can be less of Elaine and be more of like a channel for good.
Yes.
But there's still, I'm human. And so there is darkness. And, you and I were talking about preparation. So, anytime I perform, I meditate beforehand. I always try to work out. If I had an early flight, then I'll try to hit the gym and do some yoga preparation prayer. And then I'm always running my set, even if it's the bullets, I get the words in my mouth. I protect my mindset. I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. I'm very careful about what I listen to in my car. I don't take phone calls from many people, my family. I want to protect because I want to be as open and present with whoever I'm speaking with.
Yes. And
I can, let's face it, we're all distracted. I do check my phone, not 200 times a day, thank goodness, but a lot. And, 77% of people that go on Facebook, they get depressed. You have to manage the compare, despair, what groups you're paying attention to, right? There's a lot to navigate.
Okay.
And I think Facebook is awesome too. And, some people report getting depressed. I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. So I know for me, I really try to protect my heart because I'm so sensitive. So there is a lot of clearing.
Absolutely.
And there is a lot of preparation.
Absolutely. You've touched on a lot of points there. I heard actually boundaries and protecting your space, protecting your energy. I like to talk about this thing. This is quite a deep topic, and I've experienced this one-on-one when I'm with my clients, and I believe you're going to be able to relate to this because I experience you as very sensitive. Are you an empath?
I am.
Okay.
Which I'm just learning.
Great. Yes, you're an empath.
I am, what that means,
Okay, got it. So anyone listening to this, if you haven't ever heard of the word empath, you can do some research on that. But we're in a time now where, sensitivity has opened up to another level. And I myself have always been super, super sensitive. I remember my very first birthday party, actual party as a kid, and I blogged about this once, and just this swamp of people and energy. And, my mum tells a story of I'm just like, send them away. And I started weeping, and it was just this assault of energy on my senses. I had no idea what was going on. And even suffering panic attacks, with people looking at me. So for me to have my hair back like this and to be looking square on the camera, it's massive shift for me. People can see me, on stage doing keynotes, doing, CEO coaching and all these stuff that I do. I had suffered anxiety and blushing attacks and had long blonde hair and covered my face. So I get the work. I really get the work. So back to you on the sensitivity thing. I wanted to find out from you if you've had this experience. I call it the third mind, where you're in the zone and you're with someone and you know that they are really speaking truth. It's like universal truth, and something happens and this information gets transferred or some insight gets transferred, and you know that there's this other presence, with you and the audience or with you and another person. Do you experience this regularly?
It's so funny that you asked that, because when you were sharing about your vulnerability, I was getting goosebumps and a rush of energy. I feel like when I am doing my deepest work and living in my zone, I do get this.
Yes.
Often, and when I am off, not as much.
Yes.
So, I totally get the vulnerability piece, and that it's so beautiful. To me, why are we here? We're here to learn, to live, to love, to expand our capacity. And, it's nice to have money, but that doesn't, material things don't really last. But to me, when you can really connect with another human being, to me, that is divine. And that can be doing something like this. Also, like asking for help at the grocery store and really looking in that person's eyes and saying, thank you. Like I've, had these moments after yoga when I'm like completely just, and the guy laughs at me because I'm sort of out of it. And we, have those moments. Like, to me, that's why we're here.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's the juice to me.
That's the connectology. And the capacity piece. So your big energy that you talked about just then, and those divine moments, where you get the tingles and you are in alignment and you get the download and you get the knowing. I believe those moments are on the increase, and if we can put ourselves in the right place at the right time for the right reasons with the right people, those moments happen more and more and more. And this to me is the gift of the positivity, in that if you've got people who are genuinely supportive, who genuinely listen to you, who genuinely see you, and those people may or may not be your family. You have to seek those people. You have to seek the support to support you to cultivate that. And I want to share with you that one of my refuges has been comedy. I can totally relate to the laughter. My husband and I work together, and he's been in my company. He joined me when I started the company. So he's been in for 20 years. I've been for 22. And we have had some very, very, very tough times. And recently, to get away and to just reset, we went to a comedy show and we laughed and we laughed, and it was like a dissolving. It was a dissolving of pain, and it was a healing for us, because here we were in alignment, not focused on each other, together, focused on the mastery of this comedian who's there being so vulnerable. It was an open mic, and it was hilarious. And comedy is a healing, and I think you're definitely healing people when you are there, holding up a mirror to society, saying, "Look at all this stuff that we get ourselves whipped up about." It helps the dissolving process. This is the gift I feel like you bring.
I love it so much. Like is it okay if I'm slightly rated R for just a minute?
Go ahead.
So I'm doing this really cool women's empowerment thing in Montclair, and I'm so honored. And I have, talk about some new positive people in my life, these two amazing women. And we had our third meeting today, and they're both moms. So we're talking about, the shoot, like there's a lot going on for parents, especially. And so I said, I'm an aunt. And then we were talking, I said, I had this handyman over and he was helping me with my dresser. And I was like, whoops, there's my vibrator. Whoops. and they both just like snorted because I took them off. You know, it was unexpected, and they were like, "Oh my God, we should do this every week!" Like, you know, because I feel like when they can laugh, it helps them release some of the tension.
Absolutely.
The sleepless nights, they're burning calories, they're raising serotonin. You know, it is the gift of laughter. And I love it that you and your husband, you were laughing together and you were breathing together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is interesting. Breathing.
And I think another example, I remember I had this casting director, and he was young and new, and I got called in to read for a sitcom.
Okay.
And it was August in New York. And August in New York is like soup. It is.
Okay. Like.
So, like.
Okay.
It is so humid.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So
soup, yeah.
humid. And you can't, in Texas, you can drive everywhere. But in New York, you have to, you know. So I walk in, and you could feel the tension was like everybody was there. Everybody was tight. No breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have cut it with a knife.
Okay.
And I could tell, like, my guy was nervous because if I'm not good, he's not going to get the job with them, you know? And so they said, "Thanks for coming out in this humidity." And I said, "Well, it's lucky that it's early in the morning because later on, I turn into Phyllis Diller." and they went like that. And the whole room just erupted. And you could feel them go, oh, like this collective, like, oh, we don't have to worry about this one. I brought the oxygen back.
Wow, that's great. Have you heard yourself say that before, that you bring the oxygen?
Not quite like that. Like I just said.
Elaine brings the oxygen. Absolutely.
I love it.
You bring the oxygen, you do, and you bring the energy, and that's fantastic. So can we talk a little bit about the motivational speaking side of your business and the coaching side of your business, types of things that you're helping people do in their business, in their life, and in your journey to that? I'd love to hear how you serve in that, you know, business setting.
I love that. Thank you. You know, and I've done talking on tough subjects like assault and addiction and alcohol awareness, and I'm still passionate about just helping educate.
Yes.
And to talk about the stigma and the shame, because I feel like if we can talk about it, we can shift things. We don't have to wallow. And then I fell into, people kept saying, "Why aren't you helping people be funnier?" And I was like, oh, I could have had a VH, right? and then, you know, live video started happening more and more. And I thought, wow, people are scared of public speaking. People are really scared of being on camera.
Absolutely.
And then I thought I'd be helping men and women, and lately I'd spend more women, but I am so passionate, and I have a couple of guy clients too, but so many women I know tell me things like, "Oh, I feel like I'm boring," or, you know, and I'm like, "Who told you that?" Like, I have this client, she's Italian, she makes these once in a lifetime tours for people. When she says Palermo, I'm drooling. Like, I'm like, buenas, da, da, da. I'm like, I don't know what you just said, but yes, I'll have 5. Like, you know, and it's just the stories we tell ourselves. So I feel it is such an honor to help people get past their visibility block.
Oh yeah, that's super. Can I stop you there? That's massive. And that is absolutely massive. I had an interview this week with, or last week, recently, with a woman called August Crenshaw, and we were talking about shame. So she was helping, and I find this too, you're helping people, you know, unlock their genius or their brand or whatever it is that they're doing. And we go to do the branding and to get it all happening, and then they hide. So the deeper issues that are going on for people around showing up is where you're really supporting them, because you're dissolving, I call it dissolving, the hiding.
Yes. And I feel like I help people give themselves permission.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I'll say, okay, wait, what story? Who told you were boring? Okay, you told you were boring. Okay, well, that's not, you know, and so I just have them kind of unpack the suitcase of beliefs or things. And then also I said, you know, to me, this is part of the fun of live video. It's not like we're doing this take and it's got to be for your webpage and it's got to all be, you know, perfect. Because I'm sort of goofy and, and I'm like, imperfect action is better than no action.
Absolutely.
And and my brand is vulnerable, and so I'm probably not everybody's flavor, right? Like some people are going to be like, she is too much, too goofy, whatever. But I just love helping people, really. And like the stories, Tanya, the stories, people, they're like, well, and they'll tell me a story and I'll say, okay, tell me another one. And usually it's the third one. They go, well, I was 14 and I had cancer, but then I don't know. And you're like, we're like riveted. We're like sobbing. People, like a lot of times for me, it's like comedy. Like, is this funny? And people are like howling. Sometimes the ones you're not sure about are the ones that you're like, that is your story. And it's, to me, it's very sacred work.
Yes.
And it's something, it's very hard to work on your own story because you're in it. It's like cutting the back of your own hair. Like you can do it, but it's not going to look good, And so I feel like it is such sacred work, helping people find their voice. And then, and having the courage to then put themselves out there. And what's crazy is nobody is judging us the way we are judging ourselves.
Absolutely.
And then we will project our judgment onto others, but
Exactly.
Everybody's too busy worrying about, like, when
themselves.
We do this thing, right? We do this thing. And so I just feel like, give yourself permission. And Tanya, I know that I'm so passionate because I had the experience of having no voice growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was having this abuse and I was trying to tell people. My mom was in Europe. My stepmother was drunk. My dad was dealing with stuff. There was nobody. So I think, I had this experience of not being heard, not being taken seriously. And I think that's one reason I am so passionate about helping. Now that I have found my voice after lots of work and things, I am so passionate about helping other people find theirs.
Wow, that's very profound. That's awesome. That's really, really powerful. A couple of things are coming to mind. I was part of a program in Thailand a few years ago, and part of the process was they had a person help develop the story. We had to get up on stage and really animate and exaggerate. And the things that we take for granted that have happened in our lives are what people are left riveted about. To your point, you can't cut your own hair. So having someone like you to help pull that out, highlight it, and say that's of value for other people to see. So let's bring it out and make some word pictures around that. The other thing that I want to link to this is that this came out of a discussion or a blog or something recently. But I don't know if you've ever thought of this or realised this. The being scared and the word sacred are the same letters, just the C is flipped around. So the scariest thing, the scariest thing. So the scariest thing, if you're prepared to work through that and dissolve it, out pops the sacred, and that's actually the healing for other people too when you confront it. And if this is useful, I've been doing this exercise with people lately, is getting them to actually write down what it is that they're most scared about. Mm-hmm. They're most scared to look at it, to get it out of their body, to document it, and then to develop, to leave distance, and then come back and put a strategy to it. And it helps dissolve it, which is part of that. Remove the blocks that are stopping us from being more visible, and what you're doing is amazing, really amazing. Can I work with you? Will you help me?
I would love
develop some pieces of my story? It would be super duper.
Gosh. I just love it so much, and I was laughing because I love working.
Yes.
It's such an honor.
Yes.
And then when my clients text me and say, "I did it," or I just helped somebody do her very first Facebook Live interview, and she's already had 500 views.
Oh my goodness me!
Explaining to her how and it is. I'm
wow.
so grateful and humbled, and
Well, Elaine, work ethic is a really big deal, because when we do our work, we're actually serving, and it's the serving is how we get paid. And, I've been criticised for being a workaholic, but I love what it is that I do, and I love serving others and bringing my gift. And when you love what you do, you have big work ethic and you keep going and you serve more people. And that's where, I've created these groups so I can put more and more people together and then have experts like you step in and show your expertise. So what I was thinking is, say, with our Positive Business People group at the moment, we're doing a lot of video and live videos. People are stuck. So someone, jumping in like you and saying, hey guys, here's some tips, here's where you might be getting stuck, would be so valuable, because we don't have a choice now. We have to, people are expecting us to use video, whether it's the authentic video, whether it's the prepared one. We have LinkedIn, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, Instagram.
Right?
Yeah. Video is where the future is. So having a resource and access to someone like you.
Absolutely. I would be honored to come in.
Okay, super duper.
And, I have to just say, people ask me all the time, well, I heard Facebook, blah, 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 blah. And I said, here's the thing. The platforms are going to continue to evolve because that's the nature, right?
Yes.
But the video is not going away. In fact, I was talking with one of my mentors how we're going to be like, remember Princess Leia when she's like the little avatar on the table? Like, that could be us in a few years.
Yes,
so we're like literally, we're beaming in.
Yes.
So the more you can get used to camera. And what's cool is that, things like lighting, angle, a little bit of makeup, you don't have to be perfect every time. But when you can feel like you're most attractive and there's a few tips and tricks, then you're going to be more freer.
Yourself. Yes, and yourself. And the free thing is really, really important. And there's the deep work on that, and then there's the surface work on that, and everything in between. And that's what they can come to you for. So also you've been doing the motivational speaking, you're doing the coaching on with the camera work, and then you've got your stand up. So if people would like to reach out to you and get more of the Elaine energy, where can they find you, please?
Thank you. Right now, they can go to captivatethecrowd.com. We are in the process, but that's a great way, or they can come to Captivate the Crowd and Camera Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. Great. Super.
Left a message there.
Super duper. Elaine Williams, thank you so much for joining Positivity Show. You've taught us that the importance of, working through your stuff, that it's an ongoing process, and that when we are living our gift, this is what I'm getting from you. It's not really work, even though you're prepared to put in the energy in terms of the end gift, and the work is actually on ourselves. And this is a great platform and forum. People can reach out to you, and you're doing it. There's a lot of people who teach stuff, but they're not doing it. You're actually doing it. How have you got a regular gig, or are you doing different? So for instance, if I wanted to come and see you at some point, do you have how do you do your comedy work?
That's so great, because for a while I was like, I'm just focusing on my business, and I was really missing the comedy. So I went and did an open mic last week and had so much fun. And then sure enough, I just got a couple of bookings.
Okay, great.
And I do host in the city sometimes, so it just depends.
Okay.
But I'm always happy if anyone wants to bring me to Australia. I love doing benefits. I raise money for Lyme, sclerosis, MS. I've raised money for high school bands. I've raised money for a funeral. I did a lot of different benefits. So
amazing. Elaine, thank you very much. We're going to say bye for now from the Positivity Show. Thank you for joining us. If anyone wants to find you, they go to captivatethecrowd.com. Great.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. It was wonderful having you on. Learned so much. Bye for now. Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching Positivity Show. See you next time.